Okay, one of the things I realized that I haven't done yet is I haven't saved this file. So let's do that. Let's go up here to File, and then let's just do Save. And I'm going to find my After Effects demo starter files folder, and I'll save it inside of there. And I'm not going to call it Untitled Project. I'll call it something like, let's call it Spire. Let's do 1080 by 1080 add or something like that. Okay. All right, so now that's saved, and you'll notice that it saved it by default as an After Effects project. And if I take a look over here at my folder that I'm working in, you'll see here that in fact it is saved right here as a .aep file. Okay. All right, so the next thing that I want to do, actually, let's bring that back up. The next thing that I want to do is I want to pull in this logo.psd, and if we open that over in Photoshop, let's take a look at that file. This is the file right now that I've got. It's got lots of different options in here. You'll see that, like, if I were to go in here, I could see what like the logo filled looks like. I could turn that off, so I could have something that's got, you know, filled snow caps here with black. But instead, I chose to do something that's white. And right now, the saved state of this file has a red background. And so let me just show you something really fast. It's pretty cool. All right, so if we go into After Effects and we go into File and we do Import, we can do Import File, and I'm going to choose logo.psd, right? Click Open, and it's going to ask me what I want to do. Do I want to merge the layers? Do I want to choose a specific layer? I don't want to choose a specific layer because I've got lots of layers that are building up to do different things, okay? So I want to choose merge layers. The other thing you could look at is you could pull it in as composition so that you've got a whole separate composition. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to pull it in as footage, and I am going to merge the layers. And you might think, well, it's going to flatten it, right? Well, not exactly, but I'll show you what it's going to do. All right, and so I pulled it in, and you see that it's red. So if I were to drag this in right now, let me just show you something. If I drag that in to the timeline and down in here for the composition, you might go, well, wait, where is it? Well, what I did was I put it, just like in Photoshop, it has a stacking order. So I put it on the bottom, and so it's underneath the video. The video is solid, it doesn't have transparency. So if I want that to be on top, I would have to take this layer and I'd literally take it and drag it and drop it on top. Well, now the problem is that this is solid, right? And I can't see the video behind it. Well, all I would need to do, because this is a linked file, and it didn't flatten it, what it will allow me to do is it'll allow me to go in and make a modification, resave that PSD file, and it will automatically update. Now, the thing is that might confuse you is you might say, well, if I merge the layers, isn't that sort of like flattening? No, it's not. Like, if you've used Photoshop, you understand that merging and flattening layers together means that you lose the ability to use them as normal layers. What it means in the context of importing a PSD inside of After Effects is that it's just not going to show you all of the layers underneath here. It's not going to give you the ability to manipulate the layers inside of After Effects, which is a thing that you can sort of do, right? But it makes it a whole lot more complex. And because I don't need that feature for what I'm trying to do, it would add tremendous complexity to my file. And so I don't want to do that. What I can do instead is I can go over here to Photoshop. I can turn off that background layer so that I have this transparency. I can save my Photoshop layer. You see this little asterisk? As soon as I hit save, it goes away. It saved it. Now if I go back into After Effects, you see that in fact it's white, and I have that transparency, which is terrific. All right, now you might look at that and go, that's great, except I can't see it, Lee, right? Well, you can see it here, you just kind of can't see it as it's going through the motions. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do some different stuff to it. One thing that I want to do is I want to add some drop shadows and a glow, and so that it will, in fact, actually really stand out a little bit more. So that's one thing that I'd like to do. The other thing that I'm going to end up doing is I'll turn it into a 3D object, because I think it'd be really cool to have it spinning in 3D space, right? And the only way I can do that is to turn it into a 3D object. So let's start adding some effects. So I'm going to choose my logo layer. First of all, I'm gonna rename this and oh, and what you see I just did, I went to go rename it and just accidentally double clicked it, and it took me into the layer option, right? So I don't really care about that. Really all I cared about was that I'm gonna rename this. So I'm gonna right click this and I'm gonna choose rename. So instead of logo PSD, I'll just call this logo. I'm just gonna do all caps, and then I'm going to type, let's just start off with logo right now, and then we might have to do some different stuff, and then we'll give the logo some different definitions. All right, so what I want to do is, let's first of all go ahead and add the shadow. So what I'm looking over here where it says effects and presets, and I'm gonna just see what kinds of shadows I have available. So in the search bar, I'll type shadow. And this is one of the things that's really easy to do. It's great. You can have an idea of what you want to do. And sometimes it has a weird name that won't be part of the normal search term. But a lot of times, the thing that you might want to do if you don't know necessarily how to do it, you just start typing part of the name of what you think it would be called, or the thing that you want to affect, and see what options you get, and you can just play with stuff, right? But the one I want is this one here called Dimension Glow plus Shadow. You could try Bevel and Shadow, you could try all these different things if you wanted. I know I would like to do Glow plus Shadow because I want to give it a little bit of a glow and a little bit of shadow, and it's going to add 3 different effects at once. So let's drag this, and I'm going to drop it on top of this logo layer down here. And you see, as soon as I did that, as soon as I released it on top of this logo layer, while I've got the logo layer selected, it shows me the effects and presets over here. And I've got plenty of room to see them all at once. I can twirl that effect closed, or I can twirl it open. The other place that I can do this is I can twirl this down here in the layers. And now you see not only do I have transform, which comes automatically with every layer, but I also have effects. And I can look down under effects and see which effects are applied. I've got white glow, dark halo 1, and dark halo 2, right? And so if I wanted to look at the effect options down here, I could. They are the same things as what I'm seeing up here in this panel on the right. As long as I have my layer selected, it's going to show me all of these things that are applied to it, which is terrific because it gives me a little bit more room, especially like if I wanted this to be lower so that my composition window could be bigger or something like that. All right. Now the other thing is, let's say that I want to make that a little bit smaller, and then I want to make this a little bit smaller. I can do that so that this can be bigger, especially if I need this to come over a little bit. And I guess, yeah, right. I don't think that I need it to come over, but I just want to show you that as an option. So, and I do like to see more of my timeline too. Now, these settings actually happen to be ones that I want. If yours are not automatically set to be that way, then the things that I've done here, let's just collapse these and simplify it. So first of all, let's look at drop shadow where it says white glow. Okay, I'm going to twirl that down. I want to make sure that my shadow color, I can click that and I can set it to be whatever I want. All right, and then it will help me whenever I'm making the glow. I'll know that this is the glow portion, and so I want the glow to be white. You could have it be some other color if you want to give it a little bit of a tint. That's fine. I want my opacity to be 100%. I want my direction to be this. That's fine. You could also change the direction if you want, but I'm just going to undo that. Let it be that default. I'm going to have the distance be 0. If you wanted to change the distance, you see this is what happens. If you say distance is 0, then it's going to register it like sort of like there's a straightforward light source coming directly on it from the front. You can make the softness different if you want to adjust it, right? And it gives it this sort of, you know, very ethereal kind of feeling. If it's softer, I think that I'm gonna keep it at, I think it was like 20. I think that I want mine a little bit harder than that. I don't know, maybe I can increase it just a little. I don't want it to feel too soft. That's the only thing, is if it feels too soft, it kind of starts to get away from a little bit from the brand. So, you know, And I also don't want it to feel like blurry either, right? So we could try something like that. And the way also to know if I really want to see it like this is if I come over here to composition and see how this panel is now highlighted. If I double click it, it'll go to full screen, and then I can see it more at the actual size. And I don't know, that might be a little softer than I want. All right, so if I knock that back down, I can type the value to 20, and then I double click it. Let's double click that and see it. I think I might be a little bit happier with that. I don't know. It's up to you, really. You can play with it. And then if you do shadow only, that's what happens. I don't want to do that, right? So, and then I basically have the same settings for the halos, except the difference is that instead of the shadow being white, like it's not a glow, right? So it's going to be dark. And again, if you don't want the shadow to be based off of pure black, let's say that you want it to be something that's warmer or cooler than just straightforward black, then you could add some kind of tint to it. Like you could double click here and you could make it like a warmer, like kind of red, and you can, I don't know if you can see it, but there is more of a like a red glow around this part. It's like the first glow, and the other one you could leave dark however you want. And if I cancel it, it goes back to being a little bit darker. Again, it's just sort of like the hint of color. And it would be more than a hint of color, like if you changed the softness so that you change like the spread of it, the blur of it. That would give it more. For instance, let's take a look. If I did, let's do like this red color, or let's maybe blue. And I can also do, you know, I can use the color picker, and I can kind of pick from a blue that's up here, like maybe this navy color. All right. I could do like that blue, and then if I change the softness and increase the softness, you can see that it really starts to adjust the feeling, right? It starts to really give it a little bit more depth, the softer depth. You can see that right here. All right, so you could adjust some of these if you want. Let me see if I make that blue just a little bit darker, how that feels. That might be a little bit better. And then again, I can double click this and take a peek and see how I feel about that. And I might be okay with that, right? All right, so I'm gonna save this. So far I haven't saved it recently, so I'll save it. And that gets you started like on, you know, the shadow effects,